It's that time of year again. Everyone knows that the holidays can become overwhelming quickly, so the sooner that you get things done, the better. For both shoppers and businesses, the best time to score great deals during the holidays is Black Friday and Cyber Monday weekend. And that's why you need Shopify. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the US, from household names like Allbirds and Cowboy e-bikes to entrepreneurs who will be participating in their very first Black Friday or Cyber Monday this year. Shopify has everything you need to succeed from start to finish. First, Shopify's marketing tools help push your brand to the forefront of the chaos, no matter what platform your customers are on. Then, Shopify helps draw customers in with the ease of a convenient checkout with Shop Pay, Shopify's expedited checkout that saves customers information and reduces hassle. The best part? Shop Pay has been proven to boost conversions, meaning you see less abandoned carts and more profits. You can also stress less knowing that Shopify's award-winning customer support team is on standby 24/7 to help with any issues that arise, allowing you to get back to business as fast as possible. This Black Friday, join thousands of new entrepreneurs hearing for the first time with Shopify. Sign up for your free trial today at shopify.com/income. That's shopify.com/income. Go to shopify.com/income and make this Black Friday one to remember.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
Hi everyone, I'm David. I support GenXGrownUp on Patreon, and you should too. Don't you want to keep this great content coming? So you know what to do. Go to genxgrownup.com/Patreon and just do it.
GenXGrownUp is a YouTube channel, website, and audio podcast you're listening to right now. All made for and by people who love exploring media, games, tech, and toys of yesterday and today through the eyes of Gen Xers who refuse to grow up. Your dinner cannot just be French fries. Basically, life sucks as a grown-up. Welcome back, Gen X Grown Up podcast listener, to this, the backtrack edition of the Gen X Grown Up podcast. I am John. Joining me, as always, of course, is Mo. Hey, man.
Hey, how's it going?
You know, it's not a show without George. Hey, George.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
You know, in this episode, we're celebrating the 40th anniversary of Amazing Stories, the 1985 anthology series created by Steven Spielberg. With its mix of science fiction, fantasy, and heartfelt storytelling, the show brought cinematic wonder to television in a way that audiences has never seen before. We'll look back at its legacy, revisit some of its most memorable episodes, and explore the creativity and optimism that made it truly amazing. Yeah. Play on words there. But before, George, I got shit to say.
Sorry.
Before we get into that,
Nope.
time for some fourth listener email. The three of us are here. We might listen. If anyone else does, you are our fourth listener. Thank you for writing in. And I want to welcome Rick P. to the show as our fourth listener this time around. Rick dropped us a line. The subject was Super Mario Brothers.
Oh,
Great.
that was a fun episode.
Yeah. Rick says, hey guys, great show talking about Super Mario Brothers. I didn't discover this game until 1990 when I was in college and had a roommate with an NES. You guys briefly mentioned strategy guides, and 5 years after the game was released, the guides were still available, which is a testament to the staying power of the game. Anyway, I was stuck on a level or was struggling to find something hidden, and I would head over to the mall, go to the bookstore, flip through a massive strategy guide that included images of every level from the beginning to the flagpole, and once I found what I needed, I'd put the book back on the shelf and head home to continue the game. Maybe I should have just bought the book, but I was a broke college student, so there you go. Yeah, I can relate to that. Yeah, why not? I used the library as my personal video rental store in college, actually. That worked really, really well because you could just check out movies and not pay for them. And then take them home and copy them on my double VHS. He goes on to say, one question I have, though, is the pronunciation of Mario. Now, I've always pronounced it as you guys did, Mario.
Right.
But the announcers in the old commercials played between segments pronounced it Mario. What's up with that? Rick, you guys
It's
give that
Mario.
any thought before?
I was just Mario. That's what I thought it
I
was.
mean, I've heard it both ways. I just felt like Mario just felt more intelligent than Mario for some reason to me.
Yeah, I wondered if it's like a regional dialect thing or something. So I tried to answer the question. I did a little search, and the best I could find was like in the US, it tended to be Mario, but in the UK, because of the way they pronounce other things differently, they tended to go Mario. But it's a Japanese game, so whatever they say is probably what I would say is correct. So I like Mario. I'm going to stick with Mario.
Yes, look at Mario.
Yeah. Rick, thank you for writing in. We're glad you enjoyed the Super Mario Brothers episode. We love it every time the fourth listener takes time to drop us a line. If you'd like your email feature here on the show, it's drop dead easy. Just hit us up at podcast@GenXGrownUp.com. You know, we read every single one, sometimes multiple times, and eventually it's liable to make the show just like Rick's. All right. That good business in the rearview mirror. We're going to jump into the body of this backtrack featuring amazing stories right after this amazing break.
Ever wonder whether stoicism is actually as terrible as all those red-pilled bros on TikTok make it seem? I'm Tanner Campbell, American philosopher of Stoicism and host of the Practical Stoicism podcast, and I'm here to tell you that, thankfully, those bros couldn't tell the difference between their you-know-whats and a hole in the ground, let alone teach anyone anything about any proper philosophy. Stoicism is an ancient Greek virtue ethics philosophy all about developing a morally just character, and you can learn more about it by listening to my podcast, Practical Stoicism. Search for it today in your podcast player of choice and give it a go. I'm certain you'll find it, at the very least, informative.
You're listening to Gen X Grown Up. But if you have a friend who's not yet listening, why not? Tell them about us. They'll thank you later. Now, as I mentioned in the intro to this episode, Amazing Stories is celebrating this year its 40th anniversary, 1985, right, when it came out.
Wow.
And whenever we feature a film or a series like this, the best place to start, frankly, is at the beginning, to dig into kind of the origin of the show, how it came to be. And as often the case, I dubbed these guys to do the research for this episode. So, George, you kind of took the lead and jumped in and dug in a lot of really interesting background on how Amazing Stories hit our televisions. You want to share some of that?
Yeah, absolutely. So first off, it did debut September 29th, 1985 and ran through April 10th of 1987. And it was specifically created by Steven Spielberg to run on NBC. Now, what I found in the research was that the reason he wanted to do a television series, because obviously Spielberg in the mid-'80s,
Big deal.
No, he was a big deal.
he's a film director. He's not TV, right?
Right.
But it came about because he had a desire to use his ideas in short stories that weren't big enough to be feature films.
That makes
But
sense.
he still wanted to find a way to get them out to audiences, and he wanted to return to working in television because he had done some work in television on shows like Night Gallery, Marcus Welby, and a television movie named Duel before he became Mr. Jaws summer blockbuster guy.
I remember
The truck
Duel.
one,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, the truck one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the series title was actually licensed from an original magazine called Amazing Stories that was first published back in April of 1926.
Jeez.
So I guess it hadn't entered the public domain yet, but they gave up some money to get that title.
Yeah, it's funny. I remember seeing that magazine all the time in comic book stores. And I went, isn't it funny that that's the same name as this series? I didn't really know that it had gotten its inspiration from that. But it was a big sci-fi magazine. Lots of big science fiction authors would put in their short stories. You know, it makes me think probably like Spielberg did. Oh, he has these big ideas, not big enough for a movie, but big enough for a TV show. I always figured these sci-fi authors, they had ideas that weren't big enough for a novel. They sent it into science, you know, or sometimes up and coming sci-fi authors would be in there. So I didn't know they were connected like that.
Yeah. And I think people need to understand like how big a deal it was that Spielberg was doing a TV show.
Right.
Because that was unheard of. Like you did movies or you did TV. The two never really met. You know,
Right.
or you started with
And
TV
that was everyone.
movies, and you
Directors,
didn't come back.
actors, writers,
Yeah,
you
actors,
lived on
everything.
TV or movies, one or the other. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you did do movies and then you went to TV, it was like a demotion.
Right, exactly. It was like you did something wrong or something, right?
Yeah.
But and so Spielberg, I mean, and he was at his peak. I mean, he was peaking here because Close Encounters was here, E.T., Jaws. I mean,
Raiders.
all these movies now under his belt. So
Raiders, yeah.
he said this was a big deal.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Now,
no question.
interestingly enough, NBC, they gave the series a 2-year, 44-episode commitment.
That's
right off the
unheard
bat.
of. Well, it's because of Spielberg,
That's
right?
crazy.
It was Spielberg.
because of Spielberg,
Yeah.
but it wasn't just they were like, oh, we love you, Spielberg. He actually made that demand. He said, look, I'm not going to do this unless you give me at least 2 seasons to make sure that I get done what I want to get done.
Again, Spielberg, he get away with that.
And he has that pull,
And he
right?
did. He did. Exactly.
Right. Oh, if you don't like
So-
that, go find another Spielberg. Oh, you can't
Right.
find one?
I go to ABC, they'll give me this deal.
Right?
Yeah,
No kidding.
I mean, any network would have jumped at the chance of this series based on just his bona fides alone. Now, the other thing is, not only did NBC back it with the 2-year, 44-episode commitment, they also gave the series a budget of $1 million per half-hour episode.
That's
Now,
crazy.
at that
hour.
time,
Yeah.
an hour-long TV show got $900,000.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So this is more than double the cost of a regular 1-hour show at that same time in TV history. Now it's not just that they committed to giving him 2 years, they committed to big money.
Yeah.
And we're going to see when we get into the next segment where some of that money probably went.
Yep. I remember researching Star Trek The Next Generation at one point, and I remember that was an hour-long syndicated series, an hour-long science fiction, always in space, and it basically had $1 million per episode budget.
And it was 6
They had to
years
do-
later.
Right. It was, 80...
91.
No,
Next Gen,
87.
1991.
Next Gen was 87. It was just a
Oh,
couple
did it
years
start
later.
87?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, wow.
I think maybe
Okay.
DS9 started in 91. So you're close. Anyway.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Maybe that's wrong. Anyway, it was just a few years later, for twice as long an episode, always in outer space, they had the budget that they had for half hours. So that was the interesting thing.
Now, Spielberg didn't stop there with his demands. He also wanted exactly, or at least 1/3 of the directors for the series to be newcomers, because he felt the series could serve as a good training ground for writers and directors. So almost like his Project Greenlight kind of thing before that was its own thing. I mean, I don't know if that's altruistic or if he was like, well, if I get cheap directors, I can afford bigger stars. Because, like I said, we're going to find out there were some big names in this series in a lot of these different episodes. And these are just 30-minute episodes, and they were produced weekly. So if you think about that, I don't know if he filmed them every week like a traditional TV show, or if he did it like a movie where he had like 30 days worth of filming to do all of the episodes like you might see these days. That part, I'm very curious, and I have to go back and do some more research, but I kind of ran out of time.
You know what's interesting? I hadn't thought about this until you just talked about their schedule. The fact that this is an anthology with different actors and different directors, they could be shot simultaneously.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's true. They're not
You
sequential.
could have 2 or 3 in production at one time.
Yeah.
Because it's not the same cast. I mean, maybe they shared editors or something, or oversight like Spielberg.
Maybe not, though. I doubt it, though. Who knows?
Maybe not. Yeah. Huh.
I mean, yeah.
And also, people remember we say a half-hour episode. We're actually talking about 22 minutes. Right, thereabouts,
Right.
with commercials and everything else. So, but still, though, again, to produce that much, to pay that much money for 22 minutes of content, that's for in the 85. That's crazy.
It's nuts.
Well, you can see it on the screen too. I mean, they're well produced things, especially for 85. Yeah.
Now, the other thing that kind of is a little bit interesting, the series was nominated for 12 Emmy Awards, and it did win 5 of those Emmy Awards that it was nominated for.
Yeah.
However, the bulk of those Emmy Awards, 7 nominations, were for 2 episodes combined. So The Mission, which is a very well-regarded episode from the series, and Gather Ye Acorns, they accounted for 7 of the 12 nominations. There were a lot of reasons why we only got 2 seasons of amazing stories that we're probably going to talk about in a little while, but it wasn't that it wasn't heralded as a groundbreaking series.
And after all those Emmys, I even dug up, and I was trying to bounce off of that and see what else was out there. There's an award out there named the Edgar Award. It's named after Edgar Allan Poe for science fiction, horror, fantasy. And there was one episode that earned a best TV series episode of the Edgar Awards. It was called The Amazing Fallsworth. I don't remember the episodes well enough to tell you what that one was about. out. Like I could name off Star Trek episodes probably, but so in addition to its Emmys, it was lauded by audiences and other industry professionals alike as being, wow, look what you're putting on TV. It just hadn't quite been seen before in that way. And that's why it got so well recognized. Damn.
Yeah. And I mean, just to go a little bit into the history of it, because we've got our segments and everything. While the very first episode attracted a full 1/3 of American television households,
Spielberg,
it didn't do that well in the ratings after that. So I'd have to go back here and find it, but it was something like out of like 60 shows in season 1, it ended up ranked 40th or so. Wow.
That's pretty good.
And in season 2, it ended up ranked in the low 50s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Spending $1 million an episode, Spielberg with his hands-on approach in season 1, which he pulled back in season 2 because the executors like, look, you're 40th, dude. You got to figure something else out. Let somebody else do the heavy lifting, maybe. And then the worst ratings in season 2. It's no wonder that it wasn't until 2020, we're going to talk about it later, that we got something else in the Amazing Stories franchise. But we only got 2 seasons of this thing, 44 episodes, exactly what they contracted for, and nothing extra, which when you think about that, when is it that you've heard Spielberg putting out something that people were like, okay, glad that's over with. Let's move on.
Enough of that right now. Well, speaking of that ratings fall off, it just makes me wonder. I thought before we wrap up this segment, how we all watched it in some form or fashion. We remember it well. How did you watch it? How often? I can tell you that I definitely watched that premiere. I know I did because I remember it was a big deal. It was on the cover of TV Guide. It was a big article about it and everything. And because it was an anthology, meaning a different story each time, you didn't have to come back next week to see what happened because they were self-contained little movies. As I was going back, rewatching a few episodes for this backtrack, I found like, oh yeah, I remember that one and that one and that one. I clearly, even though in the second season, I was still digging it up and finding it. Do you guys remember like how much you watched it? Are you part of the audience that fell off or did you keep watching it? What about you, Mo?
So this came out late in 85, right? I think it was like September, right? First date. So
September 29th.
Yep. So I actually didn't watch it till, I didn't watch it till I came home from college because, and I had to wait for reruns. Remember reruns? So actually I probably didn't start watching it until probably 86 when the rerun cycle started. But I remember it being, they were advertising the crap out of this thing. Yep. I mean, you could not, if you turn on NBC, odds are you can see a commercial for this Amazing Story show coming up.
Sure. What about you, George? What do you remember?
I pretty much remember watching every single episode. Now, I'm not going to say every single episode stuck with me, but if I look at an episode title or just a sentence or two of the description, the episode does come flooding back. So I'm pretty sure I was watching them as they aired. I know I did for the first one and for like pretty much the whole first season. The second season where it gets a little fuzzy. But that first one, Ghost Train, directed by Spielberg himself, and that was another thing that I didn't include in the history origin. He didn't want his name associated with the series for promotional purposes after the first episode. He said, no, don't make it about me. Make it about the series and the stories. And he had a very strict policy. This was kind of like he loved the old anthology series like Twilight Zone and Outer Limits, but he wanted this to be a more family friendly version of that, which I think as we've rewatched some of these episodes for preparation of this podcast, I think we'll all agree that's pretty much what we got. I look back at it now and I'm like, some of the episodes are outstanding television.
Oh yeah.
Some of them kind of suck.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I've kind of always made in my head, Amazing Stories is the center point between the Wonderful World of Disney and the Twilight Zone. It's anthology. It's kind of creepy. It's kind of supernatural, super normal, but it's also very kind of sometimes uplifting characters you can root for. It's not all the dour kind of like, life and death kind of things. Though it's often is some life and death involved, but in a more, again, you said kind of family friendly, easily consumable and primetime approach. And all right. We get back from this break. You talked about where did the budget go? And so the nature of this series led to some pretty remarkable talent in some of these episodes. We're going to run through some of that right after this. Be sure to subscribe to or follow Gen X Grown Up wherever you listen. And while you're there, rate and review the show too. It helps more than you know.
last mission encounters the unbelievable. An amazing story directed by Steven Spielberg. A magical midnight meeting turns monstrous. An amazing story directed by Robert Zemeckis. 2 great stories, 3 great stars. Kevin Costner, Kiefer Sutherland, Christopher Lloyd. Amazing adventures, amazing stars, amazing stories. The movie. Monday at 8 on Channel 11. Shocktober.
Now, 2 things are aligning here for Amazing Stories. The first is it had a tremendous budget with which it could procure talent. And the second is that it's an anthology series, meaning every episode is a self-contained story. Think Twilight Zone, right? Think Outer Limits, stuff like that. But less science fiction horror, as we said, and a little more fantasy. So they were able to get, Spielberg was attached to it, though his name wasn't prominent, as you were saying, George, but it was a prestige TV show before prestige TV was a thing. So they were able to get a lot of people who were at the top of their game or are already in other projects being well known. And here they are showing up in Amazing Stories, which added to probably its notoriety. Now, I pulled a little list of those and we're just kind of run through them and talk about who they are and you might recognize. Mo, why don't you kick us off?
Okay, we got Bronson Pinchot, who was the director in the episode Mummy Daddy.
That was Balky on Perfect Strangers, right? Got him.
Yeah, I don't think you guys are going to know the next 2 actors. They're kind of no names. Kevin Costner and Kiefer Sutherland, ladies and
Who's
gentlemen.
that first guy?
They played Captain and Static in order for an episode called The Mission.
Yeah. And that was that's one I remember too. That's one that stuck with me a lot. The Mission. Yeah. Gregory Hines. So maybe not known as a great actor, great performer, certainly. He played the magician Falsworth in an episode called The Amazing Falsworth. He's a magician, which creepy, spooky things happen around, fanciful things around his act. So Gregory Hines was in one.
Yeah. Milton Berle, old established megastar. Back in the 60s and 70s, he played himself basically in an episode called Fine Tuning.
Yeah. And, another one of the vaudeville guys, Sid Caesar, he played Lou Bundles in Mr. Magic. There's just an incredible amount of talent from all generations of actors up until that point.
Yeah. So I thought this was interesting. This next one, there was a series that you guys watched some time ago. Was it Sandman or something, where it has like the characters are playing death and life and misery and what are things like that. So there was one called Guilt Trip. That reminded me also a little bit of Inside, the Disney movie about the emotions.
Oh yeah.
Lonnie Anderson and Dom DeLuise together, respectively, playing love and guilt, the 2 human emotions in this episode. And it reminds me of, and I think we're probably going to see a lot of places where ideas that were in these spawned other ideas in other media.
Yeah, funny thing is, Burt Reynolds directed that episode.
Did he?
Well,
yeah.
How appropriate.
Yep.
Well, so Dom DeLuise was his sidekick, and Lonnie Anderson was his wife probably at that point. So, yeah.
So, and you talk about people like Harvey Keitel. The Wolf, right?
Right.
He played Byron and Vanessa in The Garden.
Yeah, and then my Tiger Blood guy, Charlie Sheen, he plays Casey in No Day at the Beach. When he's not off brat packing it with the rest of the crew.
Now, I don't know how big this guy was at the time. Joey Pants, Joe Pantoliano.
Oh, yeah.
Played a character named Joe in episode 1 for The Road. Now, this is well before he would go on to star in Memento, one of my favorite films, and The Matrix, of course. Yeah, huge in that. But
don't forget Eddie and the Cruisers.
Eddie and the Cruisers?
Yeah, Eddie and the Cruisers, yeah.
And in this case, it kind of reminds me, whenever you go back and watch, I keep bringing up Twilight Zone, but there's obvious parallels. You go back and watch an old Twilight Zone, and you're like, here's this no-name young kid. Whoa, that's George Takei. Like, holy crap, he's in this before he was bigger. Right, exactly.
Also, one of my, of course, favorites, Mark Hamill. Of course, he was going to be in one. He played Jonathan in Gather Ye Acorns.
Mark who now?
Yeah.
Just a nobody.
Tim Robbins played the backseater to Maverick in Top Gun, but he also played Jordan's Phantom in Mirror Mirror in Amazing Stories.
Now, if you're a Dexter fan, or frankly, if you're an anything fan these days, John Lithgow, who was already a well-known actor, right? So he starred as a guy named John in an episode called The Doll. And that was another example of somebody who, man, he's continued to have a career before that, during that, and after that, continued to be a huge draw. Isn't he about to be Dumbledore in the new Harry Potter, right?
Yeah.
He's still acting.
In the
I think
TV
he said that
series.
might be his last role.
He's getting
I think it
older.
might be done after this. So
Yeah, he's been around
he's
for a while.
committed to like 7 years or something.
Of course, then there was the married couple of Danny DeVito and Rhea Perlman. He was Taxi, she was Cheers. They played Herbert and
Right.
Lois in The Wedding Ring.
Hey, did you know Danny DeVito also directed that episode?
Seriously?
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Before throwing
Got
him
all
from
his
the
talent.
train,
Why
I
not?
guess.
Isn't that kind of stunt casting? Is that what they call that? When you cast like people that have roles, they're already associated with each other,
Yeah.
and you put them together in a show. You know, like recently I just heard that Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter are on Broadway doing Waiting
They
for
are.
Godot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so that's stunt casting, and that's a great
Yeah.
example of it. Hey, you know these two are married. Wink, wink, nod. They're going to be in the show together. I think that's funny.
Nice. Well, I mean, you know, somebody who's super popular back in that time period, Christina Applegate, who's just coming onto
Oh,
the
yeah.
scene. She played Holly in an episode called Welcome to My Nightmare. I don't know if that's because she knew what her career was going to become later, or
Let's see, who do we got next? Oh, Dirty Dancing himself, Patrick Swayze. So when did Dirty Dancing come out? Would this have been before
Well, that was
or after?
90s,
Yeah,
right?
Dirty Dancing, 84?
Was it 80, was it that? Was it 84?
Was it?
Wow. Was that
It
early?
was somewhere around in that area.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
okay.
it was either right after or right before. He was definitely a star on the rise, or maybe he'd already hit. But yeah, he played Eric in an episode called Life on Death Row, and I think that he's actually is the guy on death row. And it's like CSI or Law and Order casting. If there's a big star, he's not going to be incidental to the story. As soon as you see
Right.
his face,
You
he's
know
the
he's
guy we're
important.
going to pay attention to. And there's
Yeah.
Patrick Swayze, so he's the guy.
David Carradine, Kung Fu,
Oh, you can walk the rice paper.
Kill Bill. You know, he paid Calvin in the episode Thanksgiving.
And then, you know, they decided, okay, we're done with enough actors. We're going to go into the musical world and pull some people to join the fun. Adam Ant played a guy named Ted on Such Interesting Neighbors. Can you imagine if Adam Ant was your neighbor?
No. Yeah, well, you said musicians. Now, you might not have known this one, and you might not have picked up on it because he was in heavy makeup and prosthetic. There's an episode called Miss Stardust where none other than Weird Al Yankovic played Cabbage Man.
Really?
Yeah, 85.
Holy cow.
Yep. Or maybe he's 86.
Well,
I think-
that was big into his food phase. So
that's a good point. I think this was a second season. I'm pretty sure Cabbage Man was, in that Miss Stardust episode. Yeah.
Yeah. And also Griffin Dunn. He's been in so many things, but he played Dick in Secret Cinema.
Oh yeah, I remember him as the mauled friend from American Werewolf in London.
Yes.
Oh, is that who he is?
Yes,
okay.
that's who he
I
is.
couldn't place him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Put some flaps of bloody skin on him. Now I can pick him out of a line.
Okay, there you go. One other thing I want to point out too is that the music of this show, they got John Williams and James Horner to do some of the music for some of the episodes. I mean, geez. I mean, like I said, only Spielberg though could probably get those people to come on board something like this.
Not just those two guys, Danny Elfman,
Oh, Danny
Billy
Elfman, that's right, Danny
Goldberg.
Elfman.
I
Yeah.
mean, they've got a lot of solid musicians in this lineup. No question.
And if we're talking about where the money went, didn't even mention the opening credits is CG rendered.
Really?
There's a flying
Well,
book
some
down
of
the
it
hallway.
is.
Well, there's some live action integrated.
Yeah.
But you have this book flying through a hallway and all these elements coming flying at you. So they had to pay. That wasn't cheap back then, doing CG render stuff. This was just after Young Sherlock Holmes, where we saw that fully CG character come out of the stained glass, or maybe right after, I forget. But you didn't just knock off a CGI intro back in those days. That was big money. You had to pay a house to do it. It was probably Industrial Light and Magic.
Industrial Light and Magic.
Industrial Light and
I think they're the
Magic,
ones that did it too. Yeah.
You know, one of the biggest names we didn't talk about in that part right there, but it was just as a director on the Harvey Keitel episode. Guess who directed that episode?
Who?
Clint fucking Eastwood.
Did he? Nothing surprises
Jeez.
me about this series anymore. It's just that you'd expect all these A-listers.
Yeah.
to come
Did
out.
Scorsese also direct one of the episodes?
Scorsese was also a director. Yeah,
That's crazy.
absolutely.
It's bananas. All right. So look, we've talked about the origins of this show, some of the power talent that was behind it. I mean, everybody thinks Spielberg, there's just a roster of we've gone through of stuff. When we get back from this next break, we're going to try to each choose a single episode to champion and talk about why it's one of our favorites. Stick around.
The Lincoln Wishlist sales event is happening now. Here's what's on everyone's wish list. Enjoying holiday jingles with brilliant 3D audio that surrounds you? Check. Watching snow flurries through the panoramic vista roof? Check. Packing up presents with the spacious Lincoln Splitgate? Check. Everything you want. All standard on the 2025 Lincoln Navigator SUV. Visit your local Lincoln retailer or learn more at Lincoln.com for exceptional offers on 2025 Lincoln vehicles today.
Each episode of Gen X Grown Up has show notes loaded with links where you can learn more about our topics. And there's even more to see and hear over at GenXGrownUp.com.
Tonight, an amazing story.
We're actually watching TV from outer space. They're coming here. Coming tonight.
And on Alfred Hitchcock.
This was the role of my life.
An actor's greatest part becomes a real killer. Then they murdered his family on the streets. Now he's fighting back. Streets of Justice, tonight.
Okay, so in this segment, we each picked an episode that we're going to champion for various reasons, right?
Yep.
So, John, which one did you pick? I think I know which one you picked, but let's see if I'm right.
Yeah. So, we talked a little bit about how so many of these were talent on the rise sometimes, or maybe even it had a legacy beyond its origin. In the second season, it was the one and only fully animated episode called Family Dog.
Yep.
And it was also maybe we need a new dog, or maybe we need a cat. Anyway, I've watched that thing so many times. I had it on a single VHS, just looped over and over. It's so good. It was also a backdoor pilot for a animated series called Family Dog that did get a run, one season of like 10 episodes, but never got as good as the pilot was in this. Now, this one had 3 segments. The first one, there was just a family dealing with their dog. He doesn't like his food. He spit it out in the dad's slipper, things like that.
No, the wife's slipper.
No, it was the wife's slipper. That's right. Then there's they watch their Christmas home movies back.
It was a bunny rabbit, and it was in the string, and it was dead.
It was dead. And then you need those 2 to set up what I think the best part, the third part, and that's when they send the dog to guard dog school because a burglary happened and the dog didn't do anything.
Yeah, just like
and so they're trying to teach him to be a guard
it's
dog.
Because they all fed it that crappy food at the dinner table.
He couldn't move. It's like
does not become a white hot ball of canine terror.
Fury. Notable talent in this one, I just called him out. Music, Danny Elfman. Written and directed by Brad Bird, notable
Pixar.
Disney and Pixar director. Yeah. Voices. Brad Bird did voices. Annie Potts and Stan Freberg, amongst others. Those are notable ones I pulled out. If you're going to make an animated little cartoon, let's just pull the most talented damn people you have for every department. Music, writing, directing, voice. It was just a perfect storm. I love that episode. I rewatch it all the time. Once in a while, I go back and watch the series, but not all the time. It was kind of subpar. But yeah, Family Dog is the one that I'm going to champion. And clearly, you guys agree it was a pretty good one, so you remember it.
100%.
Yeah, it was definitely a good one.
I was just going to let you choose which episode you wanted because it was either Family Dog or the one that I'll talk about later.
Me too. It was one or the other for me. So
yeah.
Sure enough. Yeah. All right, Mo, I've talked enough about my Family Dog. I love it. Let's move on to you. Which one do you remember most fondly?
So the reason why I picked this episode is not because it was my favorite episode. It was because I rewatched a bunch of episodes, to get ready for the show. As soon as I saw this episode, it all came flooded back to me about how freaking confused I was watching this. Like I didn't back when I watched this, I was like, what? It's called Secret Cinema, and it's about this young woman named Jane who believes that her life is being secretly recorded and manipulated and influenced and all that stuff. Like kind of very much sounds like Truman Show.
Right.
But she's more aware. I guess she's a little bit more aware. Like she's actively looking, trying to figure this out. And the way that show is just a very bizarre episode because weird things keep happening to her. Like just for no reason, someone get a pie thrown in their face for no reason. Like just happens,
and just like a stunt for the show. And
it's just right. And people laugh. Everyone laughs about it.
A stunt for the movie within the show.
Yeah. Right.
And then things happen. And then so she's convinced. She goes to her psychiatrist doctor, and he's like, "Oh no!" I mean, and then then she finds out the secret cinema where they show certain shows, and then she gets her hair done by a nurse. who says it's part of our training. It's not a problem to do hair. I mean, it's just bizarre. And then how it ends up is that there's this big scene where she kills her boyfriend, and then you hear cut, and they pan out, and it's on a set. And she's on a set, and she's still confused, but she's actually on a set.
Well, she should know by then, right?
And so she's like, wait a minute.
Because she walked into an apartment that was built with fake walls and everything. So
yeah. So she had wow. So anyway, she's like, well, why didn't I get why I thought, stars get paid a lot of money and da da da. And then it goes a little bit forward. I guess she uses it. I guess the fact that she's being used for this thing, because then they come up and she's like wearing this mink, and she's like, I'm in every one of his movies now, and has 2 pies in her hands that throws pies at the people. I mean, it was just a bizarre episode. And the only really name that I recognized in it was Griffin Dunn. I mean, the rest of the people, if you saw them, it's like, oh, I've seen that person in this show, or I've seen that person in that show, kind of thing. Yeah. But man, it was a weird episode. And that's why it just stuck with me.
Okay.
So when Mo put this on the list, I couldn't remember the episode, but I got the Truman reference just from the description. I went and watched the episode, and then I went down a secret cinema rabbit hole on Google, because there is a lot more to this episode than what meets the eye. It's not a Transformer, but still, there's a lot more to this one. First of all, when The Truman Show came out, there was an article written in the LA Times where they interviewed the writer of The Truman Show and asked him, was secret cinema from Amazing Stories an inspiration for your movie? And he said, I've never even heard of that. No, it wasn't inspiration. Bullshit. Trust me, that guy watched this episode, because it's almost verbatim. Even the plot points and the beat and everything, it's almost the exact same thing as The Truman Show. But then that's not the only kind of weird web of Hollywood that's in this secret cinema episode. There was actually a movie 20 years earlier in 1966 called The Secret Cinema, where a young woman believes that her life is secretly being recorded, influenced, and filmed for an unknown audience. Sound familiar? Yes.
Same description.
Completely different person, but this one was a pure horror film, which is what many people have talked about when they've watched The Truman Show. They're like, I don't know if this is like a social commentary or a pure horror film, right? Because you can look at it from different angles. I just think it's really neat that Spielberg stole it or whatnot, but he obviously had to have known about that movie. You're not going to get the same title and the same description of something. In 66, he would have been a young man at best, I think, right? I don't know when he was born, but based on when he produced movies like Jaws and whatnot, he had to be a young man. And I'm guessing he had to have seen that movie. And then to do that in Amazing Stories, is it an homage? Did he steal it? I don't know, but it's a great episode.
Yeah.
But a horror spin on it. That could be interesting.
It definitely could be. I'm about to try to find the original one now.
I want to seek that out and see. That could be good, right?
Oh, I'm scouring the public domain as we speak. Yeah.
So George, what was your choice in this?
Yeah, so I had a coin flip, Family Dog or The Mission. Either one of those episodes, I would be happy to champion because they're both tremendous. But The Mission is specifically about a B-17 bomber being flown by a crew where there is a young man in the underbelly gun turret of the B-17. His character is called Jonathan. The actor is Casey Zemesco. He's been in a lot of different stuff. I'm thinking like he was in Back to the Future. What else did he play? Oh my goodness. Trying to remember all the different things. He was in Secret Admirer, Stand By Me. He was one of the rough guys of the bad group that followed the kids to the, he was one of the bullies. Anyway, so he is this young imaginative kid, and the pilot, as I talked about earlier, that was Kevin Costner. The radio guy, that was Kiefer Sutherland. They had all these different people in this B-17, and it is just destroyed through the battle to the point that it loses its landing gear. Couple that with the fact that the belly gunner, what is it, like the bull turret? I don't know. Anyway, that gets locked and the kid can't get out of it.
He's
so
in
if
there.
they land this plane, he's going to get crushed.
Right. Yep.
So what does he do? His imagination takes over. He gets out his drawing pad because he is an artist, and he draws the landing gear for the B-17 bomber on his pad and then just starts holding it and thinking and praying and whatever. And then the landing gear just magically appears in cartoon form on the B-17 bomber and they land safely.
Yeah, it was a cool episode.
It's not even just like, oh, it's an animated tires and wings. It's like Tex Avery tires. They're big bubble, like with a fake patch on it, you know?
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's all the lighting is right. Like I think it's, you know, it doesn't look like just super candy colored, but it looks like you plucked this out of a Roadrunner cartoon or something. And now it's on this real plane and it freaking worked. They landed the plane and they got him out finally. And then he was concentrating super hard. And then finally they got him out and he just collapsed is that what I'm remembering at the end?
The whole plane crashes down or
something.
something.
It goes away.
Yeah.
Once they pull him out of this haze that he's in where he's willing these wheels into existence, they vanish after they're all safe. Oh, it gives me chills thinking about it.
Oh, I know. Now, there's no wonder that we got such a star-studded cast and such a good episode because this was one of only 2 next to Ghost Train that were both directed by Spielberg himself.
Is that right? So just those 2. I didn't know it was so few.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, I mean, you got to think, obviously, you know, people like Kiefer Sutherland, Kevin Costner, they're all going to come out of the woodwork to work with him at that point, right?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
I mean, like John said, he's Indiana Jones, he's Jaws, you know,
Close Encounters,
he's everything in the 80s, E.T., whatnot.
Right.
Yeah. So I just think in my mind, I still to this day, I'll flip a coin because I can't decide if it or Family Dog are the better episode. Family Dog obviously got the series, so maybe you'd say it's better, but
very different. Yeah.
They're by far the 2 best episodes, in my opinion, in the series.
Yeah.
And you had Brad Bird on the other one. So he's no Spielberg, but he's kind of the Spielberg of animation, isn't he?
Hey, the man can make an adult cry.
He can.
Right. You son of a bitch. He's done it many times. If you're a die-hard Gen X grown-up, you can pledge your support by clicking join on YouTube or by becoming a patron at genxgrownup.com/Patreon.
This Sunday, The Mission, where the lives of 10 men rest in the power of one. Sunday, a special 1-hour episode, Amazing Stories. Next, the 24th Mission, where the lives of 10 men rest in the power of one.
Battle position!
And now, the impossible is about to happen. Next, a special 1-hour episode.
Lakeman Livers, what was that?
Amazing Stories.
In the last segment, we were just talking about how Family Dog, the animated one that I was championing, it got a spinoff. It was kind of a backdoor pilot, got a spinoff, but that was kind of planned ahead of time. That was far from the only way that some of these Great Amazing Stories episodes or this series continue to have a lasting impact on pop culture.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, right when the series was out, 85, 86, TSR, who published Dungeons and Dragons, and they were massive back in 85. They actually published 6 tie-in novels under the Amazing Stories banner that were basically choose your own adventure books.
Ooh. Really?
I've been trying to find those actually, so I have not been able to find them yet.
Oh no, that sounds interesting. I'd read that.
TSR wasn't the only ones to put out books. So in 86, so kind of the midpoint between seasons 1 and 2, a guy named Stephen Bauer wrote 2 novelizations of the series. They were both published by Charter Books in the US and Futura Books in the UK. So this series, I think it's not just half-hour episodes like John said. It's also a lasting cultural impact to be able to get novelizations, like 8 books written about the series while the series is on TV. Yeah. That shows just how influential Spielberg was.
What other TV show is getting that treatment?
Yeah, nobody.
If any. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys remember the movie Batteries Not Included.
Absolutely.
It was super. I enjoyed it. Yeah, little robots. So it's really cute, adorable one made out of cans. Anyway, that was actually that was originally supposed to be an episode for Amazing Stories, but I guess Spielberg liked it so much, he's like, I'm gonna make this a full movie.
Oh, that's the flip side of what you said, George. Stories that were too small and then it was like, you know what? Now that I think about it, I think there is enough meat on the bones.
There's a movie in here, right? And so he did.
I'll be damned.
And he directed that too, so yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, of course. The thing about Amazing Stories is, I think I mentioned this term before, the prestige television. That was a term that kind of came along like 99, 2000, that era, kind of kicked off by The Sopranos, because we had talked about how there used to be this division. There was movies and there was TV.
Yeah.
And then when The Sopranos hit, people went, wait a minute, this is on TV? Well, it's HBO, it's special.
Yeah, it's
But
not
then-
TV, it's HBO.
But that wasn't it, right? Then you'd have things like The Wire and
Mhm.
Breaking Bad, Deadwood, Battlestar Galactica, Lost, things like that they became this golden age of television that we're kind of still living in the tail end of it, I guess. And it's things that kind of the shitification has begun, I think. But there was this era, and Amazing Stories was kind of a decade before that kicked off. They kind of set the groundwork for there doesn't have to be a division. Look what you can do on television if you'll just invest the talent and the money in it. And we talked about how it is an anthology format.
Mm-hmm.
That was something that had not been around for a while. It was just genre stuff. Oh, the horror will be anthology, that your Outer Limits and your Night Galleries. But this made the anthology format a legitimate artwork for network TV audiences that it kind of hadn't been before. It was kind of niche.
I think it both suffered from and was benefited by appointment TV era, right?
Sure.
So
yep, I see where you're
I
going.
think that had that exact series, I'm not talking about what we're going to discuss in just a few moments, but this exact series, the 2 seasons that we got, had that been done in today's format of streaming services that can pump a lot of money as well into these shows, I think it might have been better received. Because can you imagine Amazing Stories as a binge series? Number one, it would have been 5 seasons because 40 episodes, you would have put that over.
That's true.
10
Yeah, it would have been 5
episodes a
seasons, yeah, for sure.
And be 4 years in between each season.
Yeah, and we've seen other things that have come out like Black Mirror and
that's a great example.
Several other ones that have done that thing. Room 122 or 144 or 212.
Yeah,
I forgot what the room was, but you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. I think Amazing Stories probably would have done more amazingly in today's format.
Look, George used the amazing too. It wasn't just me.
I did. I got suckered in.
And the last little bit that I dug up that I thought was really interesting is that we've alluded to this all along, but to put a real fine point on it, they raised the expectations for what TV production values could be.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What the budgets might be, what the market might tolerate, what kind of talent you could get. Oh, it's not just, sure, we had musicians, we had Gregory Hunt, tap dancer, we on there. We had all these folks who you brought in like, oh, it doesn't just have to be your regular stock TV people. You can any of this great talent could be in there. Paved the way for other fantasy-oriented shows and anthology shows that had previously just kind of been, oh, that's the syndicated thing from the 50s or 60s. We don't do that anymore. It brought it to the forefront and said, oh, here is what television can be. And that's what it kind of a decade later started to become. Amazing Stories just kind of was the bleeding edge and led the way.
Yeah.
Now, we did get an Amazing Stories reboot just a few years ago, 2020 on Apple TV Plus.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Well, we legally did get it. It did happen.
We did get one. Now, there was an episode in that series called The Rift that I'm fond of because the guy who wrote the comic book that episode was based on, I've met him and talked with him. He's a good friend of Jeremy Renner, the Marvel Hawkeye guy. Yeah. They have a production company together. That's the only episode that I moderately liked in this new series. But I think it was because they literally just took the title of Amazing Stories without any of the Spielberg heart.
I agree, 100%.
Yeah. Did they? I don't know how much of you. I only watched a couple of episodes.
There was only 5, I think. So
yeah,
do I remember?
5 or 8. Yeah.
Did they remake The Mission for this one, or am I remembering wrong? Did they? Or
I don't think so.
Well, The Rift is kind of like The Mission, but
maybe that's what I'm remembering.
Different.
Okay, I had a feeling maybe, yeah. But again, people say it kind of lacked the heart, so
yeah,
they tried. I think you could still do that today. Maybe they just didn't have the right angle in on it. Like you lined it up, George. In today's modern streaming, this is the Black Mirror kind of event television that could work. I think. Too bad the 2020 didn't.
Yeah, I would be down for somebody taking another stab at it, but with the original series more at its heart.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch it. You put Amazing Stories in front of me, I'm going to watch it. If for nothing else, for that goddamn intro.
Yes.
And the little
with
the cavemen guys with the flame.
Yeah.
I love that whole. I think to me, it's one of the best intros in all of television history. I love it.
And the intro tells a story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it tells its own little story of our progression of storytelling, right? That's what the whole intro was.
Because the caveman at the end is on their TV in their living room, right? It's so
exactly.
It's so neat.
I mean, I just think that I would love anthology series if it was done in this format. Maybe give it a little bit more of an adult flavor because, we're older now and we appreciate that a little bit more. It doesn't have to be so PG like the TV series originally did. But yeah, you could do some really great stuff. Even if you just took these 40 plus episodes and remade them today.
Yeah. With some modern stars.
I'd be down for watching that. Hell yeah. Another Family Dog. Absolutely.
What's that? The Mission with Timothy Chalamet? Okay, let's go. All right. Well, we can lament the loss of Amazing Stories, but we still have the original 44 episodes and then whatever happened in 2020 to look back on. It's been fun to walk back through this. And I'll tell you, going back to rewatch some of these, I'm like, I forgot how good these were and surprised how well they still hold up today. So it's kind of gone into I'm not sure what to watch. I'll just watch one of these rotation because they're that good. I think then on that note, we're going to wrap up this backtrack looking back on 40 years of Amazing Stories. Before we leave you, I want to take just a second to thank another wonderfully kind soul who decided to support us financially over on Patreon, Ellery R.
Oh,
Thank
cool.
you. Thank you so much. Ellery headed over to patreon.com/GenXGrownUp, set up a free account, opened up his wallet, set up a small recurring pledge for as little as $1. That's all it takes to get access to behind the scenes content, stuff that hits the cutting room floor from the podcast, anything we throw out there to thank our supporters. Ellery, you're now part of that squad of amazing folks who see what we do and give it away for free, but want to ensure we're supported so we can keep doing it. Thank you for your generosity. I think that's going to wrap it up then. Don't worry. We'll be back in a few weeks with another episode, and we have a rewind coming your way next week, so stick around for that. We got the holidays coming up, and don't forget that you had our geek gift guide coming up in a few weeks, so you know what to buy your family and friends. Until then, I am John. George, thanks so much for being here.
Yes, sir.
Mo, I appreciate you.
Always fun, man.
Fourth listener, it's you we all appreciate most of all, though. We cannot wait to talk to you again next time. Bye-bye.
See you guys.
Take care, everybody.
No life, no fun. Don't you know that you're a grown-up?
Gen X Grown Up is a member of the Evergreen Podcast family. Learn more at evergreenpodcasts.com.
No more watching shows till sunrise. Unacceptable for grown-ups. Your dinner cannot just be french fries. Basically, life sucks as a grown-up.
Let's see. I need to.
Sure. One is Bronson. How do you pronounce that? Pinchot? Okay.
Perfect Strangers.
We got Bronson. Pinchot, right?
Pinchot.
Pinchot.
Yeah. It's Balky from Perfect Strangers.
Oh, duh. Okay.